If you haven't seen any impact from those budget cuts yet, you are not alone. But President Obama and his cabinet members are still warning Americans to brace for impact. Steve Centani live in Washington with more.
Good morning, Brian. Good morning, everybody. President Obama held his first cabinet meeting of his second term and said he'll do all he can to minimize the effects of that sequester budget cut situation. It was a major topic on yesterday's agenda.
Obviously, we're going to be spending some time talking about the potential impact of the sequester on all the agencies and missions across the board. It is an area of deep concern. I think everybody knows where I stand on this issue. We are going to manage it as best we can to try to minimize the impacts on American families, but it's not the right way for us to go about deficit reduction.
Meantime, Homeland Security Chief Janet Napolitano saying yesterday furloughs will begin for air traffic controllers, and TSA staff will be reduced through a hiring freeze. She advises travelers to get to the airport extra early. Now, Democrats are hoping the cuts will put pressure on Republicans to support the president's balanced approach, including new revenues along with less spending, and Republicans are blaming the president for trimming the budget in the worst possible way with across-the-board cuts. And they warned Americans will indeed feel the impact.
First of all, given where we are and the situation we're in, every American is going to have to experience some pain. That's true. Now, whether this will or not, it all depends on how it's administered and whether or not we give the president the flexibility to make it as painless as possible.
Meantime, House Republicans have proposed a government funding plan which gives the military more money for readiness, softening the blow from a $43 billion Pentagon sequester cut. Brian, back to you.
Very curious if they get together with that and redirect some of those cuts. Thanks, Steve. Meanwhile, let's talk about what our budget looks like right now. It turns out our revenue is pretty high, historically high.
It's at an all-time high. Take a look at this record right here. In 2010, the revenue was $2.2 trillion. In 2011, $2.3 trillion. In 2012, $2.5 trillion. And the projection for this year is an all-time record breaker at $2.7 trillion. So you might say to yourself, with all this extra revenue coming in from taxes, shouldn't we be able to get rid of some of our debt in the process, or should we spend more money?
I think that's the problem, Gretchen. We're spending too much. We're taking in plenty. We've never taken in more, but we just spend a whole lot. And, of course, the President of the United States wants the Republicans to cave on taxes. It's all part of his plan. Plus this, interestingly enough, over the weekend, the Washington Post, and the White House can't be happy about this, they pretty much revealed the president's second-term strategy. Apparently on election night, the president called up Nancy Pelosi and Steve Israel. He runs the re-elect Democrats in the House campaign, and he said, I'm going to make it my goal of my second term to make sure that Nancy Pelosi is Speaker in the last 2 years, because he wants to push gun control, immigration, climate change, and fix the economy the way he wants to fix the economy.
And he's going to do it by raising money in $500,000 chunks. He wants to get $50 million out there, and he's got that new OFA program led by David Plouffe and Jim Messina, the ones who got him elected twice, to go do it. And he feels if he does that, he's going to do all those liberal things Steve mentioned. On top of that, compare it, Gretchen, to what Ronald Reagan and George Bush and Bill Clinton did. They came to the middle in their last few years.
Exactly the opposite. Don't you remember when we were having the discussions right after the election, before the inauguration, that people were just for sure, 100%, that President Obama was going to come more to the middle because so many other presidents have. But not in this case. It appears that even other people who are mostly liberal have said that this president is too busy campaigning instead of actually getting some compromise in policies.
And yesterday, Jay Carney was asked about, so is 2014 a focus? And he goes, no, not a focus for this administration, which did sound, according to the Wall Street Journal, like spin because they got caught.
Really? Meanwhile,